Oh, yeah. I'm going to start reading again from the Bible, the book of Revelations. Um, I'll just tell you what passage. It's 13:17. And the second beast required all people, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their forehead, so that no one could buy or sell unless he had the mark, the name of the beast, or the number of its name. Here is a call for wisdom. Let the one who has insight calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and the number is 666. So, how is this not lining up with them coming out with a vaccine or some kind of serum or whatever you want to call it, and then some kind of government stamp of approval to say that you have had this vaccine or even testing, perhaps, because then you basically excluded from the market, from working, from going to the shops to buy, or you cannot buy or sell without the mark of this beast system. So these things it's so obvious that you almost don't believe it, because how can they be so obvious about it? I mean, they must know that there's at least a couple of billion Christians that are alert to this fact and will not take it one step further. I mean, if we buck this thing now, I reckon it would be another 1,000 years before they could try and pull the wool over our eyes again. Literally, if this is their big shove forward, the oligarchs and the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the synagogue of Satan, if this is what their big shove forward is, and we all reject this now, it will be, I reckon, a long, long time, because now everybody will be aware of it. So it's just food for thought. But then again, there's still an arm wrestle going on. They think that they're actually going to win this, and get the people to submit, because we've had intense, oppression, basically. You can't go surfing, for goodness sakes. This is extreme. And on no planet is that a virus spreading environments. In South Africa, I'm worried about, especially because they're going to use winter as like their excuse for doubling down, because then there will actually be people with colds and flus in the townships, malnourished shacks with the usual thing that happens anyway, but that'll be just jumped all over. And then in the meantime, they've deprived people of sunlight and actual healthy living, so they won't be, and they've stressed them out as well, massively, with the emotional stress of what's going on, as well as the actual stress and strain of not having work, having to, hustle for food. So that worries me, that they're dragging this thing out as much as possible. The data is in. We know it's bullshit. And that's with them trying to make it look far more lethal than it even is. That's even with their massive effort to make this thing look like it's, going to be wagons pushed around in the street with people shouting, "Bring out your dead." Even with them doing that, we still see that the general stats are just an absolute joke. In fact, it's gone back to basically normal death of a normal flu during normal times. But they're doubling down. In some circumstances, YouTube have pulled down videos immediately. So we're in dialogue here with these people. You must understand the enemy per se. It's not, 99% of it is not verbal communication. It's dialogue. With these type of villains that we're dealing with. I mean, it's so crazy what they actually believe like that there's the world population should be brought down to 500 million. And these are guys like Bill Gates. These are the font of all knowledge and must be given airtime, with his degree in with his university degree in immunology and all his expert knowledge. So Bill Gates, of course, the expert who stole Microsoft's idea, the whole plan of Microsoft, the whole idea, whose father, I think, worked for Planned Parenthood or something like that. He was a top guy. So he's an anti-population, an anti-people person. He doesn't want us here. You're going to take this kind of advice from this guy? What are the mainstream media thinking, putting this guy on? They must know that we're going to pull this to pieces. We're actually sick and tired of the general feeling on the ground is people are sick and tired of hearing from any billionaire philanthropist, any Hollywood stars even are getting ripped to pieces because, with the whole we in this together type of attitude. Nobody's interested in what they have to say. Nobody. It's literally a joke at this point. But we still have them wheeling out Bill Gates and, Elon Musk. So maybe they're just frontmen for the true bosses who will remain hidden. But like in any good James Bond film, we haven't got a James Bond who goes and deals with these characters, which is what actually should really happen. Basically, in any war, you have your, 90% of your soldiers on the ground that are ready and armed for a full-front confrontation. You have your 5% of your generals, and then your 4% of your slightly higher ups, and maybe a 1% of extreme intelligence who go and operate on another level, kind of like your James Bond character. It goes and it engages with at the highest level. Rather avoid the, open warfare is the lowest form of warfare. Psyops, and if that doesn't work, finding the kingpin and dealing with them is basically the solution. Rather than wasting lives, billions of lives. But we don't seem to have anything like it. It's just a different way of looking at things. We need people to think outside the box, outside the paradigm, and also comment on whether, this is a real, situation like in Revelations, because it seems to me that it's pretty much aligning with exactly what it said in the Bible. Have they tried it before in history? Is it a repeating thing? I don't know. There must be 1,000 ideas out there on this whole thing. But right now, the current situation is that we just basically being lied to and adhering to a lie, believing a lie. Many people are awake to it, but we don't have any actions taking place, as per usual. There's a lot of talk. Talk is not always good enough. So, perhaps we just need a few people to be action takers and generate a groundswell, a movement, get people outside, get people to just reject this, get businesses to go back into their workshops and say, well, we're going to have to take the loss of the last month and just get back to work because they've taken away so much freedom. And what caught everybody is the furloughing. I mean, this is the cheese in the mousetrap. So many people hate their job. So it's like, well, I'm staying at home and I'm getting 80% of my salary. I'll take it, and grab it with both hands. And many companies have paid furlough or they will be paying furlough, but they're waiting on the government to now pay them. And this is the deadlock situation. And, to break a deadlock, sometimes you've got to sacrifice. And maybe that's the solution, is to get businesses to just go back medium size. I think it would it'll be like the dam break, where it starts with a trickle and before you know what, it's a torrent. So don't just expect 1,000 businesses to be on board with you. Just go and do it yourself and see what happens. It's not like we've really got much option, because where they're pushing us towards is serious oblivion. Considering what these people just say out in the open, considering the economic impact, that we don't want a corporate trillionaire class that have every single company under their thumb, which they already kind of did. The beast system was already kind of in place anyway. The mark of the beast, adhering to certain doctrines, you couldn't get employed. If you weren't LGBT friendly, in some companies, they put you in a corner where you always find that you actually have to, would always have to comply with it. Maybe it's like a rainbow flag on an emblem or something like that. There's always somewhere where they force you into absolute compliance. And if you don't adhere to this, then it's just trouble for you. So in a sense, it was already existing. But now it's like either this is just a distraction and they're trying to terrorize people, so that we don't just see the very, the surface issues, which are right in our face, of trillionaire corporations taking control. Maybe they couldn't care less if we take the mark of the beast or whatever. But there's a lot of things that are worthy of discussion, and just for good practice, that we shouldn't be adhering to any of this at all. They also know that they have, if they want this beast system where we have to take a vaccination and we have to get an RFID chip or data dots on our bodies. They also know that they've got armies of, the LGBT, like the Bolshevik, Marxist, WASP, and Jewish sellouts. They've got armies of people sitting there. They've missed their gay pride parade. They're pissed off. They couldn't care at all about the kingdom of God. They'll take this mark happily and go and have a fat party in the street. Albeit only 10 million of them in an entire country. With the way, as I said before, the weight and the force of the establishment is always behind them. So it just adds so much power. So there's a lot of things to kind of calculate, to look at, to work out. In the meantime, we have to pray for wisdom in Jesus' name, and pray that actually he stops this whole thing, or even better, returns before it gets absolutely, diabolical. Because I would not like to see, 1/4 of the entire world population dying, and because even though you might not be dying in that situation, it's diabolical. You're going to be starving, you're fighting for food. It's not a good situation for Christians at all. And we need to be also be wishing to avert these absolute disasters, rather than bringing them on. So in the meantime, I would just say we need to get our heads together, work, pray, fight back, and look at what's going on, and bring these people to book as well. We can't just let this go now, and they know it. We don't really have the choice. So anyway, I'll leave it at that for now.